I'm really excited to talk about one concept today. It's really on just change and what goes into making changes in our lives and in our business. Now, this is a period of life that, especially getting into a new industry, there's a lot of language out there. There's a ton of distraction, all kinds of stuff, where it's all about what story we're telling ourselves, what story we're telling ourselves about the market, about other agents out there, about my strengths, about where I feel I have weaknesses, all of that. All of this language is going on, sometimes whether we realize it or not, right? And in the midst of all of this, we're going through changes we're making. So I'd like to start off by asking you guys, what are changes you've noticed as you've gotten ready to take the exam, 120 hours, or like as you're getting into this business, changes you're having to go through, changes necessary in your development as a real estate agent? Let's hear some.
I feel like self-promotion.
Yeah.
Like that's awkward for me sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
here I am putting myself out there for people, and when people do that to me, I'm always like, well, why should I listen to you? Like,
Yeah.
who are you that I should listen, or pay such close attention to? So I feel like that's really awkward, but I'm trying. So
We can talk through that too,
Yeah.
but it totally, when I see
Yeah.
someone that posts a booty picture, just like, oh, like what eats them, kind of from the Midwest. So for me, you never talk about yourself. Just like take action and let people see what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's a good point. What's another change?
I thought I was social. I guess I'm not that social as far as contacts.
Okay.
Like I don't have many contacts and I get shy to go up to people and talk to them.
Yeah.
So that's a change.
Just
That's not as easy, but
Yeah. And just so you understand, is everyone gonna tell Ashley she's the only one here? It can be kind of difficult at times to call someone and say like, hey, I remember we dated like 14 years ago. How you doing? Like that's a tough call to make, right? So it's not easy. But yeah, that's a change we go through, right? And also going into the self-promotion side, something that was really difficult for me is the way that people view me. I thought when I reached out to them, I immediately put myself in that category of I've got a summer sales job, or this juice is amazing, or, it's not an MLM, but I basically describe an MLM, right? I put myself in that category, which isn't fair also. So that goes hand in hand, I think, with what you guys are saying. What else? What's another change that's necessary? Maybe let's talk about more of the business, like to grow our business. What are some changes necessary?
Keeping that routine and schedule.
I was gonna say discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline's a biggie.
Yeah, but I can tell from studying. It's discipline.
Yeah.
So you're kind of on your own time.
Yeah, you don't, and that's perfect. We're no longer employee mindset. I work 2 weeks and then I get a paycheck
Right.
every 2 weeks. It's hard to continue on with it when you don't know exactly when it's going to happen. And then people like me just tell you it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, okay, when, Chris, right? How long do I keep doing this? Other things, a huge part of it, going along with discipline and doing the right things and not just time blocking, but time blocking the right activities. Understanding there's a million other things I could be doing right now, million plus other things I could be doing, but I absolutely need to do these calls or whatever is within our plan to grow our business. So focusing on growth and lead generation, becoming masters, skill set of doing that. Yeah, it's difficult. So I want to take us through, let's see who knows where I'm pulling this from first, but I want to take us through kind of that cycle of change emotionally. I think it's really important to understand this because, of course, when we're going through this stuff and new disciplines and building a business, it's so easy to think, well, I'm the only one, I'm sure, going through this right now, right? I was at this seminar and I know it sounds obvious, but I was absolutely shocked by this. I'm at this seminar and there's sort of event and there's thousands upon thousands of people there. And I know I've shared this before, but it really struck me. There are only maybe 3-4 categories of problems that this facilitator, the person leading this huge conference, was walking through. And he said, I want everyone in the room who has issues right now with finances and income to stand up. And then you see like, you know, half the people in the room stand up. It's like, okay, please be seated. Everyone that has issues with relationships, please stand. Sounds like I'm gonna please stand up. So, to hear music. So, and then another half of the room or quarter of the room, a third of the room stands up. Who's having issues with health, like, and so on and so forth. Like, and I realized, you know, everyone's struggling with something. And one thing a mentor told me once before is treat people as if they're going through the worst time in their lives, and more than half of the time, you're probably right. Right. So, yeah, I'd like to kind of talk through the emotional state of this change. And development, we talked about this before also, but it's all about how we respond to circumstances and goals and things we want to accomplish, right? So I'm going to do my best to do a little diagram here, but it really starts, let me start off on this side. Ooh. And then work my way over here. And on this side, I'm going to call it our, whoa. Our emotional state. And then we have, just setting this up, this dotted line. And we're going to call this on the upper side, optimism. And then, of course, pessimism. So what happens is we have this, we're starting off on this new endeavor. And we're so excited about everything, right? Redora's gonna be licensed. Maybe she's gonna have her name in the white pages. It's like, here I am, world. Let's kill this real estate thing. Not to say you're not, but we have all that emotion around, right? Like, I'm licensed. I don't have to go through studying anymore. I can actually put time into real estate and get paid for it rather than just study, you know? So we call this uninformed optimism. Can go into everything. Maybe speaking of licenses, one example I give is getting our driver's license, right? We go through, we're like, now I can learn to get my driver's license. This is awesome. I'm gonna be driving in no time. This has gotta be easy, you know? So we have this uninformed optimism. Then on our emotional state, it starts to go down here. And then we reach a point, you guys can probably guess this, but we're gonna call it informed. Whoa. Probably misspelled something.
I do all the time.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Okay. Informed pessimism. You know what I'm trying to say there. Okay. Is there two S's right there? Let me see what it is. Whenever you're up at a board, you're spelling, I swear I spelled better than this. But anyway, informed pessimism. We start to find out, ooh, this is really hard, right? And we're talking in generalities now, but we can talk about time blocking. We can talk about lead generation. We can go through, I need to talk to these many individuals a week within my own plan that Chris and I have set up. It's 20 conversations a week sounds really easy in the very beginning. Then I find out there are other responsibilities I have, things like that. It may be more difficult than I thought, right? So again, this is called, we're starting to take in information, and it's easy in this emotional state to start to become pessimistic. Is this going to work or not? Okay, and then they call it, as we go down here, they call this, you're going to love this, the name of this, they give it. So that's the sentence step. And then down here, you're going to love this. So tell me if this is true or not. Valley of despair. Valley of despair, they call it. This is where we can get stuck and feel like we're stuck. Do you guys know what I mean by this? Give me an example. I know you guys give me examples of changes you're making, but give me an example of now or in the past where you've kind of been in that maybe pit of despair, valley of despair, whatever you want to call it.
Just negative thinking.
Negative
It's hard
thinking
and you get
happens at
hard on
that time.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all like bounce there at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Whether people admit it or not.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember when I was first buying my very first home. I remember, and that was a really good market. I just remember being like, we're never gonna find a home. Like we're just never gonna find a perfect place for us. And you feel that you're there for a minute.
Yeah.
And then like where you decide to go from there is like determines your outcome.
Oh, yeah.
It's, like I try not to stay there, but I just remember that brief moment of like, is this even gonna work?
Yeah.
Is this even gonna happen for me?
So when you're putting yourself in these moments, so this is a specific time frame. And some of us stay there longer, some of us don't. But what is it that you feel like pulls you out of that? What's necessary in those situations? Like, and this can go into the thought process.
Sometimes reality does, like just realizing like, hey, there are steps. It's not like I was just like in the beginning, it's like, oh, you just go out and you look and then you're like, this is it, and everything works out. I remember being like, oh, there's steps, like we're doing the right thing. If we continue to do this, we're going to get a house. It's not like there's no outcome, right?
Yeah, so if I hear you right, it sounds like you're talking about having a plan,
Yeah.
right? And what's interesting is you said, once I learned the reality of things, I think it's about perception. Plenty of people will say, well, the reality of it is we're never going to buy a home. So you know what I mean? Based on the information they have.
Yeah.
So it's all about how we perceive and react to things again. What else? So having a plan, I love that. Write that down. So having a plan, maybe a realistic plan going with the reality thing.
So sometimes when you break it down like that into smaller increments versus looking at the big picture, it's like, oh, okay, this is possible.
Mhm.
There are things I can do to get to where I want to be.
That's
Not just
awesome. Very good. What else? What else is necessary to pull ourselves through that?
At that point, just taking care of yourself. For me, at least, when I get in negative spots, I have to take care of myself, and I like to read books. Sarah gave me a really good one to read,
Good.
so I've been reading that.
Good.
And go back to your why you started it to begin with. Why were you so excited and wanted to do this?
Yeah, so we go back to our vision, right? Why am I going through this in the first place? So we're gonna say why.
It kind of helps you reevaluate. Okay, like I do want this. It makes it all that worth it.
Yeah.
In that class last week, I think you were there. I went into a lot of our values, right? Identifying what our values are, right? Rather than what we think our values should be, and not sticking with things, right? Not pushing through. So here's what happens in a lot of situations, because this is a really uncomfortable place to be in. And it happens for a lot of us. It happens to us all the time. This is where we quit and repeat. So this is the discomfort, and we say, I don't want to feel uncomfortable any longer. So it's super sad, but we settle and we say, well, just getting a home isn't in the cards. I guess, I so-and-so made, did these 3 transactions and I haven't. And it's because they have a family member to get one. Comparison monster creeps in and we don't think we can do it. Some other things, yeah, but basically for those reasons, we decide, I guess it's not going to happen for me. We give up on that vision. A lot of times we don't have a plan in place to see that it's doable. And then we go back to here. And I hope we understand when this occurs, like our confidence wanes. We start to think, I didn't make that happen. Can I make this other goal happen or not? So as much as we may think down to, these big goals that we have, if it didn't happen today or in the future, not a big deal. It actually is a big deal and what it does to our psyche at times, right? So if we have, I'm going to put with this on the mindset side, I'm going to say our associations. What associations do you have? I've seen this with a lot of agents, especially newer agents I work with, that are still in that figuring it out stage when it comes to growing. They go through this stuff alone. I did that when I started. I base a lot of my worth off of, what I build, and I used to be that way, more of income and net worth and things like that. When things didn't match up here, I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to go in my cave and then make it happen and force it to happen. And then I'll come out of my cave and, ask for help because I was embarrassed or whatever. So it's absolutely important to have the right associations around you. And the more you hear about this and learn about what we're doing, you're going to understand why we set up peer groups and group work and stuff like that. So anyone else on this? Any ahas, anything you want to share around this with the rest of us? Okay, all right. So here's the flip side though. When we, I'm just going to say, can push through. Ooh. I used to have a whiteboard. I say that a lot. Okay. So I didn't leave a lot of space here, but we actually get out of it and we come through to the fourth point, which is informed optimism. So maybe I speak to a couple friends or peers that I have mastermind groups where I talk about the business quite often, but I learn, okay, these have been my blind spots, and then I can make adjustments to my plan, and then I feel much better about moving forward. It's also where our likelihood of success is much, much higher within what we're trying to change or bring about. It also, I just wrote down, your actions start to bear fruit. So if you do it consistently enough, it's still difficult to give ourselves to these disciplines and this habit that I'm trying to make a change with, but I'm starting to see the benefits of it, okay? And then the cost of making a change is lessened because, again, these routines I'm trying to make habit are starting to set in. So it's not as big of a deal. I'm gonna go back to lead generation, maybe talking to 20 people a week. In the beginning, it's very difficult. Maybe I talk to 14, then I continue to push, meeting with others. Tuesdays, we talk about our own plans and what we're doing to get appointments and things like that. And then the more you hear about adjustments you can make to both your own schedule and whatever you need to do, it naturally becomes easier. One example I like to give is, it's so funny. If only we would think of this more as a game rather than putting so much emotional energy into needing the results to happen. An example I give is my boys, my 3 oldest boys. It sounds like I have so many children, so I have 4 kids. So, but they'll do like a video game and they're on a level and they didn't figure it out. And they may for a minute be like, but then they just start again, right? And they do things differently and move through it. And then again, they're like, oh, I lost again. And then they go through it and they just, it's like rinse and repeat. And they never give up. And we all know what's going to happen. Eventually, they're going to make it through to the next level. So if only we have that same thought, right? We didn't not have something work out the way we expected it to, and then say, guess this isn't the right game for me. Guess I'm never going to pass this game. If only we went back to what is our plan? What am I going to do differently? And continue to push through, right? Then just like I'm just watching these kids like as they're doing it. And then, and of course they'll go for like 7 hours if necessary, like they'll keep doing it, right? And talk about extreme focus. Well, you could channel that into other things, but but they'll keep going back and back to it. But what I wanted to say is, it's not the end of the world. And then they shift immediately into, like I said, what do I need to do differently next time? And then they start to see themselves getting closer and closer to the end of that level, right? So that's the informed optimism. Oh, so I do this, and it kind of works, right? Then we're really gaining momentum. And then we're gonna take it up here, and that's the final phase, and that's success and fulfillment. Why do you think I added that fulfillment? piece to it, not just success. Are there successful people that, in our eyes, that aren't fulfilled? Yeah. So yeah, you were gonna say something, Tammy. Why is that fulfillment
I was
piece
gonna
there?
say, it makes everything worth it when you look back. I have to tell my kids that all the time. I've been trying this so many times because they want to quit everything. And I get it, and I'll tell them that, like, I get it. I said, but if you stop now, you gain nothing, right? You start over at something else, whatever it is, but you gain absolutely nothing. I'm like, if you just keep pushing and see where it goes and work harder, I'm like, maybe you won't always get exactly what you thought you would get, but you will get something. You will get something of value. And being able to assess the whole process, that's like the fulfillment, I guess. Like, oh, I did all these things.
I mean, we can define confidence in so many different ways, but it really comes down to that, right? Doing hard stuff, figuring out we didn't die from it, and we actually got, if not achieving it, very close to achieving it. And then that confidence rolls into other things, right? Once we get to this point and we reach that success and sense of fulfillment, the cool thing is we can carry that energy and that thought process into the next goal and the next place we're getting to, right? That's great. What other points do you guys have? What other points stand out to you? Anyone else? Is there kind of like thinking through it, or is it like?
Well, I was just thinking something that I just kind of think about when I'm in the valley of despair is like, there's no reason you can't do something. I just think of that really quick. And I kind of go from there, like kind of let it go. You know, I don't like dwell on it, but like just remind yourself, like there's no reason you can't like get out of this. You can't get what you want. You can't achieve this, whatever it is. And then just kind of keep it. But that little thought is really helpful because there really is no reason, you know?
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's great. So reminders. Maybe someone told you something at one point that stuck with you. It just made me think about that. Anyone else? Anything stick out to you here with this?
I can hear it. Hey, Chris, I have something too.
Yeah.
I just was listening to Kevin Ward yesterday when I was driving home from St. George, and he was talking about the importance as real estate agents for us to learn how to work, but also work positively in high stress environments, because we're constantly in that high stress environment, you know? So I think it's perfect. I think it's important to understand exactly how your structure kind of works to be able to work in that high stress environment. So what do you need to be doing to do those things? Exercise, eating healthy, yada, yada, you know, just to be on top of our game and be able to handle those situations.
Love that. And that's kind of what Ashley was going to, right? Like into the mindset. What am I doing to help myself through this? What activity? And the interesting part is many times when people are kind of stuck here and I can see they're starting to wane and go backwards and settle and decide they can't do it. Woe is me, like, you know, all of this stuff. Really, I start to look at what their habits are and if their actions are supporting that or taking them away from that. I can tell you it's almost on clockwork. People aren't showing up consistently to trainings and classes and building skill set. I ask them what book they're reading. I don't know, I don't have time to read, you know, or listening to, or all these other things. What are we feeding ourselves with? And who are we surrounding ourselves with? That's absolutely, I mean, it's so easy to downplay that, but it's absolutely important. We don't let up on that. So I'm glad you brought that up, Levi. What things lead to a successful day? How do you charge your morning to start the day? I can tell you, if I am sure, if I allow myself right now, there are like 1,700,000 things to do. There are people I need to call back, but this is an activity that I decided is important to me. All right. Thank you. Okay. So I'm gonna wrap up here. I'd like to share one more thing with you, something I've talked about quite often. And but it goes so much into all of this. Where's my pen? Did it fall off? So I swear I'm gonna ingrain this in your guys' mind. You're gonna literally hear my voice when you think about this. So it's again E plus R equals O, and that's events or circumstances plus response or reaction equals outcome. And what's important to me with this is our natural selves, when we're going through that valley of despair, or figuring it out, or is this for me, or whatever it is, we start to put a ton within our reaction. We start to put a ton of thought into the events. If only so and so would do this for me. If only the market was better right now. What are some other things we say? If only, you know, I knew more. I don't actually. That's an I statement. I would say that's not even true. Like, I know enough to do this, but so-and-so, right? And this is a highly reactionary state to circumstances. It's not a good state to be in, because you can tell by those statements I've just made, I'm giving up control, right? There's giving up is the key phrase in that. I'm saying, you know, I guess it's not for me. If only they would do that, or if only it would be this way. Having to be at the mercy of circumstance and events, it's not a fun place to be in. And that starts to sound like, I hope today's better. Please be good to me today. I'm like, or money, right? Like, money, please come to me, money. I want money. Please let me have money, right? And we're putting so much power into the events and circumstances. However, if we'll instead focus on the outcome, that's absolutely a must for us, going back to that goal and our vision and why that's the goal and why these things are absolutely important. Things that are usually the boring things. I hope you can understand logically, if this is boring stuff to do, and that's business ownership, I'm sorry. It's like doing the boring stuff, right? And stuff you'd rather not be doing. But if you set in to do these activities on a regular basis, solely based on the fact that it's a boring exercise and something people resist, that means you're doing what 95% of people are not willing to do, which means you're going to get the results that 95% of people don't have, right? I also find that when I focus more on the outcome, my response changes and I start to become more resourceful. And I say, well, I need to reach out to so-and-so to tell me exactly what it is that I need to do. Ashley reaching out to me and saying, Chris, what do we do to get my contacts up, right? You start to become more resourceful when you focus on the outcome of what I want. So I know I went a little bit over today, but I wanted to leave that with you guys. And I just encourage you, when we go through these things or go through building skill set or looking at our process or whatever it is that's most important to us, write these things down. Don't just have these thoughts floating around for like weeks on end and months on end. And we're in that valley, you know, reach out to people for help. Focus on what your daily routine is and daily activities that are feeding your mindset. Have clarity around what is important to you in your life and what you value most. And those things do pull you through. I don't know exactly how long you stay in that valley of despair. I don't know how long you stay there, but you will get out of it. That's a given. Right. So that's what I got today. Reach out to me, guys, if I can help with anything, of course, and we'll go from there. Maybe quickly, I should have done this in the beginning. By way of announcements, this Wednesday, I have Marcus. He really likes the whole Ignite topic of negotiation. So Marcus is going to be doing our 1 o'clock on negotiation. Man, you know, after this, there's like 2 other things I need to announce. I'm probably going to have to email you guys because I'm not remembering it right now. But let's see, what else? We're going to be going through the Just Sold script this week. Also, for those that are part-time, I'm going to have to put out an announcement because I know we don't have everyone on. But instead of Thursday at 5:30, I need to move it to Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And that's for those that are simply part-time, either family, another job, whatever it is. If you're getting into this full-time, show up every day. Okay, I'm telling you guys that are here, it's other people that need to hear it right now. So, but yeah, at 6 o'clock, I basically review the week. We go over people's plans, what they need to do. to move forward in their goals. And then, let's see, and then one day, we've decided one day a week, speaking of activities people want to not do, door knocking. I think you guys were talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have a day that you decided on every week you'd like to go out?
We haven't. No, we
What
didn't
about
decide on
Wednesday? Where's Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah, I'm free in the mornings, Monday
Okay.
through Thursday,
Okay, cool.
so.
So let's look at Wednesday, just solely based on the fact that you guys are here. I'm letting you guys decide. I'll do what I can in my own calendar to free that up so I can go with you guys because I enjoy that. But yeah, Wednesday, let's have after scripting, you guys can have your area you're going to and go out. And then one thing I'd recommend is once you're done, get a late breakfast, early lunch, sit down, talk about what happened and who got appointments and what you did, because that's going to help a lot too. Okay. All right. All right, guys, have a great day. Look, I'm